All right, we are here with our next competitor this afternoon. Everyone put your hands together for Ben Martin from Madcap Coffee. Ben, good luck.
Thank you.
Your judges are coming out right now.
Hello.
Go ahead and say hello.
Hello. Hello. Nice to see you.
Sometime when you're ready.
Hello, Tom. Nice to see you. All right. You guys all comfortable and ready to go? Cool. Time. There's a pricing crisis in the coffee industry now. I'm sure that's not new information to anyone here, and I know that this is affecting multiple different facets of the industry. And I know that not everything I say today is going to be able to cover every detail about that topic. However, today I specifically want to focus on how we're pricing our coffees in our retail environments. The coffee that I'm brewing for you today is from a producer named Samuel Degelo of the Guji region of Ethiopia. Please excuse me while I begin the brewing process. All right, this coffee is comprised of heirloom varieties, and the varieties common to the Guji region are known for their floral and tropical characteristics. This coffee is grown at an elevation between 1850 and 2050 meters above sea level. And we know that elevation affects the acidity of the coffee, so this coffee is going to have a vibrant and complex acidity. This is a washed processed coffee, and after the harvesting, the pulping, and the washing, it's transferred to raised beds where it dries for 7 days. That'll really show through in the cleanliness and the clarity of the cup. Samuel produces a really special coffee. It's rare that you get to taste a single producer's lot of coffee from the country of Ethiopia. Most producers send their coffee to a washing station where it's combined with several other producers' coffees and put under one label. However, at the Bishan Dimu washing station in Guji, Ethiopia, they decided to keep Samuel's coffee separate and enter it into something called the Ethiopian Cup, where it placed second overall in the entire competition, scoring as the highest scoring washed coffee in the competition. So what you'll be tasting today is exclusively Samuel's coffee. I'm using 21.5 grams of coffee and 355 grams of water. That's a 1 to 16.5 ratio of coffee to water. I'm pouring 6 pulses of 50 grams and then one final pulse of 55 grams. I found that pulses lower than 50 grams resulted in a bit too much, or the coffee bed drying out between pulses, and pulses greater than 50 grams resulted in a bit too much temperature fluctuation in the slurry. 50-gram pulses, I found, were the perfect balance of maintaining temperature stability without the coffee bed drying out in between pulses. I broke my bloom into 2 separate 50-gram pours, separated by 15 seconds. I was originally using a single bloom, but found that my coffee was tasting somewhat under-extracted consistently. So I tried breaking it up into 2 parts and found that more gas was being released, leading to a better extraction of the coffee. The dripper that I'm using today is called the origami dripper. I wanted to use this dripper for several reasons. I was originally planning on using a glass Kalita wave, but after testing that side by side with this, I quickly changed my mind. The ceramic material of this dripper lent to a much better heat retention rate, which produced bigger and more distinguishable flavor. This dripper can also fit several different filters, so I had the option of using either a Kalita or a V60 or a Chemex filter. They all fit in this dripper. I ultimately chose to use a Kalita filter because when brewing that side by side with the other filters, I found that this produced just much bigger flavor than the other two. It had a bit more body that I was looking to draw out of the coffee. The other two provided nice, bright flavors, but it lacked some of that body I was looking to draw out of it. Samuel's coffee is a fairly dense coffee, and dense coffees, we know, typically require a higher temperature to extract better or more properly of the coffee. So I'm using 206-degree water. Now let's get into the specific sensory experience that you're gonna have. Don't worry about writing this information down, it's all on those menus in front of you. I'll begin with the aroma, and I'll give you specific instruction on how to evaluate the aroma in a moment. But when you do, it's gonna be deep and look for a citrus component like candied orange, and it's very floral. Think hibiscus. The acidity of this coffee is medium plus, and it maintains that level of acidity throughout the entire cooling of the coffee. It begins with a more malic acidity, like green apple. And then as the coffee cools, that'll transition to a more citric representation, like tangerine. The body of this coffee begins just below medium. It's tea-like, somewhat delicate, yet juicy. And as the coffee cools, the body will increase a little bit, become somewhat pillowy. Think whipped cream and how that feels in your mouth. The finish or the aftertaste lingers very nicely. It's very floral. Think dandelion root for the finish or the aftertaste. And also has a nice citrus component as well, like lime zest. Overall, the elevated acidity and the tea-like to pillowy body combined with the lingering finish result in a very harmonious cup that you'll experience today. Specific flavor notes that you should look for when tasting this coffee when it's hot are lime, Concord grape, and rose water. As the coffee cools, you'll find notes of clementine, of raspberry, and lavender. Now that these coffees are finishing up, I'm gonna remove the dripper from the decanter, and then I'm gonna give the decanter a quick swirl, place it in front of you. I'd like for you to evaluate the aroma directly from the decanter. Once you're done making all your evaluations, I'll take those decanters back so that I can transfer the coffee to the service vessels for you to enjoy. Please enjoy. Please enjoy. Please enjoy. Alrighty. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, not only was Samuel's coffee the highest scoring washed coffee in the competition, but it also received the highest bid of any washed coffee from us at Madcap in the auction, where we paid $14 a pound for this coffee green. Now, a coffee bought at that price can't be sold for a low single-digit number in a cafe. Doing so would be a disservice to Samuel's effort at the farm level. So that raised the scary question: how much should we charge for this coffee in our cafes? Well, we elected to serve it for $11 a cup, which to most customers would be a fairly high number for just a cup of coffee. And yet, people bought this coffee. Over and over again, people bought this coffee. You see, this is not just something that anyone can do overnight, nor should we be charging prices like this for every single coffee that we offer. There were multiple factors that allowed for us to charge a price like this. At the cafe that I work at, the staff has approximately 25 years of cumulative coffee experience between the 9 of us, and us having that much experience has elevated the service aspect of our cafe, which earned us the credibility to charge a price like this. You see, the longer that a barista has been in the industry, the greater capacity they have to give a better guest experience, which creates more regulars and grows our industry. And the more that we charge for certain coffees, the more we can pay them, which can generate greater longevity and employee tenure. On the producer side, Samuel DeGello is a fairly young producer. And in an industry where it seems to be divided between generations, it's crucial that we are encouraging young producers to continue to participate in the industry. By charging more for certain coffees, we can pay them more, and which will make coffee producing a much more attractive career, and then will help close that generational gap. You see, it's necessary that both high and low priced coffees exist. At Madcap, we seasonally rotate all of our coffees to be offered as a featured coffee option for $3.50 a cup, much more approachable price. Yet it's crucial that we are raising prices of certain coffees like this one from Samuel to better differentiate the caliber of experience guests will have with certain coffees. Judges, please evaluate all aspects of the coffee by sipping directly from the mug. I feel it's best enjoyed that way. Time.
Good one, Ben Martin from Madcap Coffee. Ben, excellent.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
Pretty good.
Dude,
Pretty good.
Looks like you've been doing this forever. That was a great presentation.
Thanks.
Man, is this your first time?
Oh, no, this is year 2 for me.
Year 2, okay.
Second time, yeah.
That's good. You got a little bit under your belt. You're like ready to go.
Yeah.
Nothing spilled. Nothing broke.
No, close.
That's a
but-
good. That's a good presentation.
Yeah.
The message was so great.
Thanks.
I'm all about that. I love how you're talking about bridging this gap between like expensive coffees and approachable coffees in
Absolutely.
the cafe. I mean, that's something I think everyone here deals with if you're a barista or a coffee owner or a coffee roaster on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a need for both. The very high-priced coffees. If we want to differentiate ourselves as an industry, there's a need for those really high-priced coffees. But there's also a need for the approachable as well, because most people aren't expecting to pay something like $11 for a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
But
and when you have new people coming to your shop, I mean, you got to start them off somewhere.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You start them up with a cup of batch, and then you get them on up to this, sounds like amazing Ethiopian coffee.
Yeah, it's very tasty.
So one unique thing I noticed you mentioned about this coffee is that it's from Ethiopia, but it's also like a single, it's a single lot?
Yeah, pretty much all coffees from Ethiopia are sent to a washing station or a co-op, and they are combined with many other producers' coffees, put under one label. Like our coffee, Reiko, is a great example of that. But at this washing station, they kept Samuel DeGello's lot separate and entered it into that competition. And then we got to get some of it. And
that's something really unique about that, for sure. Did who sourced that coffee for you guys?
Ryan Knapp sourced that coffee,
Nice.
as he does for most of our coffees.
The
but-
Napster. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, from year 1 to year 2, what do you think was the biggest thing that you had to change from your first year's presentation to this year's presentation?
How I prepared for it. Start preparing much earlier for it.
Okay.
Get more sleep.
That's good.
That's the big difference. But
So get a lot of sleep. This is your number 1 tip.
yeah, actually.
And eat frosted flakes too, right?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
That helps.
Nice. Well, anything you want to say? Thank you to some people. I know you got a really great crew at the Madcap team.
We do, we do. These
They're
people.
they're really proud of their Benny the Tiger, you know.
Yeah, in the front row here, Grant, Trevor, Jonathan, Colin, and Leah. Some of my family members drove down from Chicago to watch. My mom and my sister are here, and my Aunt Deb.
That's awesome.
And the rest of the Madcap team back home.
Heck
A
yeah.
lot of people helped out with this. So.
Hey, well, congratulations. That
Thank
was a
you
great
very much.
presentation.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great job of representing this
thank
coffee
you.
and Madcap.
Thanks.
Excellent.
I appreciate that.
All right, everyone. That
Is Ben Martin from Madcap.
give it up. We will be back with our next competitor here in just a few minutes.